glitched lucky blocks were items just added to the game, with 16 brand new items. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at every single item that you can get from a glitched lucky block and determining if it's worth using or if it's garbage. Up first, we have the glitched apple. Now, guys, I'll be honest. At first, I did not like this, but just because I did not know how to use it. I thought you were supposed to use the apple before you push, but the best way to do it is to go into a fight and mid-fight or right before you start, use the glitched apple. It will give you every single enchant in the game. Now, you only have it for like 9 seconds, but it is still overpowered, going in at one of my favorites on the list. Next up on the list is the glitched big shield. Now, this one is really cool. There is some pluses and some negatives to it, but I'd say if you have a bed, it is the absolute best thing you could use because it puts you up to 200 health. But the bad thing is that it never goes away because it does put you at 1 HP, but it gives you the 200 health, so you're at 201. But the bad news is that if you don't have a bed, you don't regen health. So I would put this one in the C or the B tier. Moving on to the bow. The bow is really cool. I mean, come on, how many times have I said something is cool in this video? But the bow is really cool, and I really enjoy the fact that it is so different from the other items. Now, this one, you can literally shoot TNT out of your bow. I personally think that the bow is better than the crossbow when it comes to the glitched items, because also when you're using the bow, you can shoot it at people's blocks, like their bed defense, and it will blow up everything. It's so sick, and I love how it works. I'm gonna put this in the S tier of the item. Coming up next, we have the bridge. Now, guys, it took me forever to find out what this dumb bridge does. Now, if you didn't know, what the bridge does is once you throw it, you can walk over it just like in the normal bridge, but there's a catch. The enemy cannot walk over it, and once they touch it, it will send them down into the void. To be honest, this one's not that cool. I'm gonna have to put it in the F or the D tier glitched items. It's just not that good, but I mean, what else could you really do with the bridge? Coming up next, we have the crossbow or the tactical bow. Now, this one, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little underwhelming. I think it would be a lot cooler if the birds chased the people for you, kind of like heat-seeking missiles, but I mean, nonetheless, it's still kind of cool. I like the idea. I like how it looks so random. I'm gonna have to give this one a D tier. Not exactly an F tier, but it's not really that good, so I'm gonna have to put it in D. Next up on the list is the guitar, and this one might not be the best for duos, but in squads lucky block, if you're pushing a base with your team and you whip out the guitar and all 4 of them are at their base, you are gonna be doing massive damage to the other team. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and put the guitar at an A tier weapon. Next up, we have the Infernal Shield. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this one took me a while to get a gameplay for because I just could not get this thing out of the glitched lucky block. Now, the Infernal Shield by itself really isn't that good, but the glitched version is kind of cool. So when someone shoots at you like a normal bow or anything like the normal Infernal Shield, it bounces it back. But as you can see in this clip, it sends a fireball back at the other person, and that is just so cool to me. And as you can see, I even got the win off of this kill. So I'd have to give this one a B tier. Up next on the list, we are going to be using the PopUp Cube or whatever it's called. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is probably one of the most boring things on the list. I don't really get it that much or how it's supposed to be that useful, considering, I mean, it is just a pop-up cube, but it does look a lot better than the original one. So I'm gonna have to give this one an F tier. It's not very good. Up next, we have the Robbery Ball. Now, this one can either be a really good item to get or a really bad item. Let me explain why. So with the Robbery Ball, normally you throw it at somebody and you're gonna get whatever's in their hand. But with the glitched Robbery Ball, if you throw it at somebody, you are going to get their entire inventory, including their armor. But the bad news is that you'll be swapping all of your inventory and armor with that person. So it could be good if the other person has way better items than you, but also it could be really bad if you switch with somebody that has nothing. So for that case, I'm gonna have to put this one at a C tier because it can be an S tier, but it can also be an F tier. Next up is the Snowball. Now, this is cool and all, but I feel like they could have made it way cooler. So when you get the Snowball, it makes your snowballs have a fire enchant on them already, but it only gives you 8 snowballs. In my opinion, the snowballs would have been way cooler if they had like fire, 3, and static. I think that would be way cooler, and maybe I would be able to put it on the C or the B, but honestly, I'm just gonna have to give this one like an F. Coming up next, we have the stun grenade. Now, as some of you guys maybe know, this is the absolute, probably probably most overpowered weapon that is in the game. So for those of you that don't know, what it does is when you shoot it at people, it does area damage, so you can hit 50 people at once if you wanted to. But it also makes them drop their items. Now, this is what makes it the most overpowered, in my opinion, out of all the items on the list, is because once you shoot it at them, not only does it make them not be able to move, but it also makes them drop their items. Coming in at another one of my favorites. Coming up next, we have the Taser. Now, the Taser is really cool. I like the concept of it, and I like that it does what the normal Taser does, aka stun people and make them immobile, but it also, kind of like the stun grenade, makes them drop whatever item is in their hand once you stun them, which is pretty cool. But it's not as good as the stun grenade. It might as well be just a worse version of it, but hey, it's not that bad. I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a C tier. Next up, we have the Trumpet. Now, at first, I thought the Trumpet was pretty bad. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not amazing, but what the Trumpet does is I think it does area damage. So if there's people in front of you, let's say 2 or 3, I could be wrong about this, but I think it hits all of them and sends them all back, kind of like how the baguette used to be before it got nerfed. But it also does, I think, 10 or 20 damage to people, so it's not that bad, but it could be a lot better. I'm gonna have to give this one a C tier. Coming up next, we have the Void Sword. Now, guys, if you're in my streams, you probably already know that the Void Sword is one of my favorite glitched items. It's probably the coolest out of every single item there is. It's not amazing, but the fact that it has lightning coming out of the sword is just so sick. Like, creativity on this one, a 10 out of 10. The skills it comes with, everything, mwah, it's beautiful. I love it. This is obviously past A tier. This is S tier. Now, coming in last, but definitely not least, comes the glitched wooden sword. Now, this can be really good if you get it early game, or if you just don't feel like buying a diamond sword. But it is definitely good at confusing people, because in this clip, I was literally using the glitched wooden sword, and later in the game, people were calling me a hacker, wondering how I was doing so much damage with a wooden sword. So for this one, this is another item that I'm gonna have to go ahead and put in S tier. It's just fun to use. It looks wacky or whatever. It's fun to use a wooden sword that does the damage of a diamond sword. So guys, if you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching it. I appreciate it. Let me know what your favorite item is down in the comments below, but mine is definitely gonna have to be. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you liked the video, and make sure you click on one of the videos on screen if you haven't seen it, because they're both really good, and I'll see you guys later.